I'd like to say hello, everyone. Those that are here and those that are going to be watching on video or DVD. Today's date's January 2nd, 2016. How many of us are going to have to correct that little 5 here in the next few weeks every time we fill something out? Change it into a 6. Well, you know, Mike, he'll probably agree with this, as most speakers probably would. There's times that you can sit down and you really struggle trying to come up with sermon notes. There's sometimes you sit down and it just flows just like this here. Sometimes something happens in your life and experience that inspires a sermon, and that's the case today. And I want to ask a question, because I think this is almost forgotten in today's society. Does God still heal? Can He still heal, and will He? Because in today's society, you know, people don't believe that anymore, even in a lot of your mainstream churches. They don't really believe that anymore. But the God that I serve said He's the same today as He was then, that He does not change. Now we're going to examine some scriptures that deal with healing today, and we're going to begin in Matthew chapter 8, if you'd like to turn there. Matthew chapter 8, and we're going to see how Jesus Christ would heal. We're also going to examine what was required for that healing to take place. And then a little towards the end, I want to share some experiences that I've had where I have actually witnessed and seen healing take place. Matthew chapter 8, beginning at verse 1. When He was come down from the mountain, great multitudes followed Him. And behold, there came a leper and worshipped Him, saying, Lord, if you will, you can make me clean. And Jesus put forth His hand and touched him, saying, I will, be thou clean. And immediately his leprosy left him. Now, what happened there? The man believed that Jesus Christ could heal him, and he couldn't do it himself, did he? He had faith that Christ would heal him. And it says in verse 4, Jesus said unto him, See that you tell no man, but go your way and show yourself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded for a testimony unto them. Well, it'd be hard to do, wouldn't it? If you'd had this debilitating disease and all of a sudden Christ healed you, how could you not just go and tell the world that it happened, you know? Verse 5, Jesus entered into Capernaum, and there came unto him a centurion beseeching him, and saying, Lord, my servant lies at home sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And Jesus said unto him, I will come and heal him. And verse 8, the centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me, and say to this man, Go, and he goes, and to another, Come, and he comes. And to my servant, Do this, and he does it. Now, some people may read that and say, well, this guy's bragging about what he can do, but that's not the case. He's telling Christ he's not worthy to have the King of Kings come into his home. And he's telling them, I can tell this person to go do this and do this, and I know you have that ability too, that all you have to do is say the word, and my servant will be healed. And in verse 10 it says, When Jesus heard it, He answered and said to them that followed, Verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. Go down to verse 13. And Jesus said to the centurion, Go your way, and as thou hast believed, so be it done unto you. And his servant was healed the selfsame hour. I want you to look at some attributes that happened here. One is the person humbled himself before God. 2, he had faith that Jesus Christ could heal the person. 3, he was unworthy to be in the presence of the king. He was meek like that. And he also had the sure faith that all Christ had to do was speak the word, and this person would be healed. Consider those traits as we go down through here. You're going to notice that there's a common theme when it involves Jesus Christ and healing. Verse 14. When Jesus came into Peter's house, he saw his wife's mother laid and sick of a fever. And he touched her hand, and her fever left, and she arose and ministered unto them. And when evening was come, they brought unto him many that were possessed with devils, and he cast out the spirits with his word, and healed all that were sick. And it might be fulfilled which is spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, Himself took our infirmities and bare our sickness. Yes, Christ, He will heal. He still does heal. But we have to believe that He can and He will do that. We have to accept that we can't do it ourselves. You know, mankind is always trying to save themselves in some way or another. But you have to have that faith that you know only your Father in heaven is your true protection and your true provisions. Now, what is Matthew speaking of when he was talking about that it had to be fulfilled in Isaiah? Very popular verse, probably some of the most popular in the Bible if you want to turn to Isaiah 53. Isaiah the 53rd chapter, it's a prophecy of Jesus Christ. It says, Who has believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Eternal revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He has no form or comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows, and acquainted with grief. And we hid as it were our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Here comes the two that we're really looking for with talking about Matthew. Surely he has borne our griefs, and he's carried our sorrows. Yet we did not esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. By his stripes we're healed. Jesus Christ suffered a lot for his creation. You stop and you really think about what all he went through. And when we read all of this healing and all of this, he's fulfilling that very prophecy. And still fulfilling it today, because he still heals. Now, is there something we must possess or someone else must possess if we are praying for ourselves or if we're praying for someone else? I've already touched on it. Matthew 8:10, this is just one verse. I'll just read this instead of turning. It said, and we've already read it, it's about the centurion. And when he heard it, he marveled and said to them that followed, Verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, not in Israel. Now we go to chapter 9 in Matthew. Matthew 9 and beginning at verse 2. And behold, they brought him a man sick of the palsy, lying on a bed. And Jesus, seeing their faith, said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, be of good cheer, your sins are forgiven thee. And while he spake these things unto him, behold, there came a certain ruler and worshipped him, saying, My daughter is even now dead, but come and lay thy hand upon her, and she shall live. And Jesus arose and followed him, and so did his disciples. And behold, a woman which was diseased with an issue of blood 12 years came behind him and touched the hem of his garment. For she said within herself, if I may touch his garment, I shall be whole. But Jesus turned him about, and when he saw her, said, Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith has made thee whole. And the woman was made whole from that very hour. Was it touching him that healed her? That's not what it says. It was the faith she had that if she could just get to Christ, He would heal her. And He did, because she had enough faith that it happened. Now carrying on in verse 23. And when Jesus came into the ruler's house, He saw the minstrels and the people making a noise. And He said unto them, Give place, for the maid is not dead, but sleeps. And they laughed Him to scorn. But when the people were put forth, He went in, took her by the hand, and the maid arose. Now why did she rise? Because the person who sought Him had faith that He could heal this woman and raise her back to life. It's actually nothing she did. It's because someone else had enough faith to pray for this person, and she was healed. And it says in verse 26, And the fame hereof went abroad all in the land. And when Jesus departed, 2 blind men followed Him, crying, Thou Son of David, have mercy on us. And when He was come into the house, the blind men came unto Him, and Jesus said unto them, Believe ye that I am able to do this? And they said unto Him, Yes, Lord. Then touched He their eyes, saying, According to your faith be it unto you. And their eyes was opened. And Jesus straitly charged them, saying, See that no man know it. But they, when they departed, spread abroad His fame all throughout the country. What did it say? According to your faith it is done. Because they believed He could do it. Verse 32. And when they went out, behold, they brought unto Him, it says in the King James, a dumb, that actually means deaf and could not speak. And when the devil, it says, and he was possessed with the devil. And when the devil was cast out, the man spoke, and the multitudes marveled, saying, It has never been so in Israel. And it says, of course, you always have your doubters. We still have them today. And these are the religious elite of the day. And we still have that same problem today. It says the Pharisee said he cast out devils through the prince of devils. Yeah, that would really work, wouldn't it? But what does it say? What did Jesus do? You find this theme, it's so repetitive through the Bible. Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. That's what Christ did. And that's what He still does. The gospel's still going out. The gospel of the kingdom. And yes, He still does heal. He still heals. Matthew chapter 15. We're going to read some more about this wonderful Savior and what He does for people. Matthew 15, beginning at verse 21. Then Jesus went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto Him, saying, Have mercy, O Lord, thou Son of David, my daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. But He answered her not a word, and His disciples came and besought Him, saying, Send her away, for she cries after us. But He answered and said, I am not sent but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So this lady was not of the house of Israel. She was a Gentile. We all know the Jew and Gentile of the Bible, they didn't get along. But Jesus was originally sent to his own first, and then we know the gospel went to everyone. But listen to what happened here. Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. He answered, It is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs. And she said, Truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat the crumbs which fall from their master's table. I believe he was testing this lady to see that they didn't get along. You know, and it says in verse 28, Jesus answered and said unto her, Great is your faith. Be it unto you even as you will. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour. You know, it doesn't matter who you are. If you have faith in Jesus Christ, He can heal you. He still does it today. But faith is a requirement. It has to be there. If you don't believe it, it will not happen. You have to believe that it will. And if you're praying for somebody, you have to have the faith that God will answer that prayer. You have to have the faith. If you start doubting, then you're giving up. You can't doubt. Now, I'm going to share some personal experiences now. And I hope I get through these because these are, a couple of these especially are very, very personal. When I was a young guy, I don't remember exactly how old I was. I'd have to ask my sister or somebody, but my dad was diagnosed with lymphoma cancer. He was given 90 days to live, is all he was given. And I didn't know that or what I'm about to tell you until Mom told me a few years later. I knew he had cancer, but I didn't know that it was that bad. That my dad was supposed to die in 3 months or less. Well, I found out Dad lived what he knew. And he prayed this prayer that God would allow him to see me married. That he would just grant him that. Well, I remember when the Meyer Center gave him a glass plaque as a 10-year survivor. I don't remember how long it went after that. But I know I was married in February of 98 and lost Dad in July of 99. God heard and answered that prayer. He still does it today. Just this past August, my wife just standing there talking, just passes out, slams to the floor. I'm sitting there wondering, is everything going to be okay? All I could do is, excuse me, place my hand on her and pray to God. She's still here. We had Mike come over to the hospital and anoint. I never lost faith that he would answer that prayer. Claude Jones said one time, there's something that's going to break you and really make you appreciate God. He's right. That done it. That one done it. But she's still with us, and she's back to like she's always been. Can't tell anything was ever wrong. One of our dear members here, Louise Barr, she contacted Mike because her granddaughter had a huge tumor on her brain, giving her awful headaches. We as a church here, we prayed. I sent it out on the net. People prayed all across this country for this little girl. When she went to Indianapolis, it had shrunk so much they didn't have to do anything. Didn't have to do anything. They sent her home. And to this day, it's still clear. God still heals people. He still does it. These are just a few examples. 3 of them that really means a lot to me. But it's all about faith. It's all about that faith. You have to have it. Romans 4:21 is one of the best definitions of faith that I've ever heard. It says, being fully persuaded that what He has promised, or what God has promised, He was also able to perform. Best definition of faith in the Bible to me. We have to have that faith. And if we do, we can see miracles happen today. We still can see it. And I'll tell you what else we can do. I just pulled this up just a minute ago. We can see this happen. What we're all supposed to be looking for, Revelation 21. He says, I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and He will dwell with them, and they shall be His people. And God Himself will be with them and be their God. Now listen to this. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. There shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be no more pain, for the former things are passed away. Man, that's what I look forward to when all these sicknesses and all this death and all this torment that's on this planet now is done. When there will be no more war, and Jesus Christ and God the Father will be on this earth. And we all shall be a family. That's what I look forward to.